השטויות שלו. אל תתייחס, איפה
הנה, אנחנו פה.
כל הסיפור הזה שלך פה?
זה לגמרי.
למה?
שמעתי מקום מטורף.
למה?
הוא ענקי.
אתה לא מבסוט? שאתה מבסוט?
תשאל את הקולגות למחלקה. אין מישהו שנכנס פה
אין פה פינה.
לא, זה מקום מדהים, זה באמת מעבודה מדהימה.
אתה רוצה לדבר כל האנשים?
כן, אני רוצה רגע להגיד לכולם שלום. There is room for more. Please step in.
Let's go to the other side. Above you. Above you.
Oh.
I'm going to go to the other side.
Please step
Go
in.
back. I know, but just let me get in there.
Everybody's here? Sorry.
More or less.
Okay. So, even though it might seem cramped, this is actually a giant lab. Just to give you an idea, all of this is our lab. Whom you see here in the back is my team, our team. And right after we unveil the dedication sign plaque, please feel free to wander around. In each room there is going to be one of the team members and who will explain you what we're doing in this particular room. So rooms are kind of dedicated by their functionality, not surprisingly. And we, as I said, we are doing like investigating questions that we're doing on multiple levels. And so the different levels kind of have different rooms. So really, please feel free to wander around, ask as many questions as you want. Those of you who want to see green neurons in a microscope can do that at the very far end. Those of you, well, we have, we prepared them for you, so you have to look at them. Those of you who want to actually see what a mouse brain looks like, that's on the far right. Those of you who don't want to have a look at what a mouse brain looks like, don't go in there. Don't worry, it's all very, nothing, it's all very lookable. Then we have a room for electrophysiology, where Katie will explain to you what we're doing there, how we're testing the functions of the molecular mechanisms that we're studying. And then here we have a room where we can explain to you how we actually get these molecules that we want to study, these modifications that we're doing. How do you actually get that into a mouse brain? It's not that the mouse is born with that stuff. Somehow this stuff has to get in there. And so that's what we're doing here. And without further ado, let's move on to the ceremony.
Oh, okay. See, there's a little...
So, do we have a drum roll?
Pull this out.
I think so.
Wait. This has to be like this.
Look at the camera. My place, I have trouble doing this sometimes, you know. Down we
We'll
go.
do it.
All right. Down we go.
Harder.
Harder.
Well,
Yay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Terrific.
allow me?
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
There we are.
Can you please
Yeah,
walk
for sure.
backwards?
Okay.
From the bottom up, so
And
Okay.
please
All right.
make room for the president. No.
Yeah.
Well, one more. Thank you.
Can we get one with Susan also?
Where's Susan?
That's the real
Come on in.
president, by the way.
Come on.
Yeah.
You're a real president.
Only if
too.
Daniel comes
No,
in.
no,
We know he's the
Can I
boss here. I told
need
you.
this time?
Yella, yella.
Okay.
Okay,
Be great to
great.
copy.
Please look at my camera
Okay.
and then choose a camera to look.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
thank you. So again, please feel free to wander around.
Mouse
Um,
brain. I want to
So
see
the
a
mouse brain, the green neurons,
And the green neurons.
and for those of you who have never seen a nerve cell, this is your opportunity.
And if you want
Go
an
for it.
autographed copy of page 56, they're both here and I have a pen.
I'll take one.
You go ahead. No, I'm going to wait for Dan.
Really?
Where are your sunglasses?
George Clooney? singer?
I'm going to follow you. So.
All right, sure. Okay.
Yes, I'm just doing the demonstration, you know. You never know. Years in advance from now, I might get my money.
Do two.
All right,
Dan,
thank
you
you.
sign.
Yeah, I want to
Okay.
Come on. Thanks, Dan.
I want to open another one.
Thank you.
Yeah, hold this.
Oh, hey, okay.
See?
There, go ahead.
Both of you.
It's like superstars.
You know, one day, guys, we're going to say, we have. Yeah.
There we go.
Ooh, that was close.
Alana, when he
Where's the okay, I didn't need both
That's
autographs.
right.
Well, he's in the
That's when I
bathroom.
sell this.
Congratulations. We can go on, you know.
like moving, grating, flashes of light, and we actually record their own activity to that visual stimulus that we give to them. And so we can ask if we change this gene or the other gene, or what did that do to the output of the brain. Now that the mouse is seeing the same stimulus, what changed in his brain?
זהו, אני לא יודע אם את אומרת שצריך לעשות טרנספורם, אני יכול
Oh, wow.
It's like a really descriptive, see what they have, everything.
Got it.
It's much more what do you need and how can we accommodate you. That is very, let me tell you, that is very different than in most other places. And so in this case here, it was, listen, this is the square that you get. There are 5 pillars that you cannot move, otherwise the building breaks down. And the rest you do as you want, okay? And so, I mean, then we built, I mean, I've never built a lab before, but at the time what my dream was, that would turn into a lab. So it's kind of my dream lab. And this is actually true for most young scientists. And this is, I think this is remarkable. And kind of the attitude since then has been like that. What you need, how can we help you? And the thinking really is, you know, you can ask yourself, so how does that actually work, right? If everybody kind of, you know, kind of gets from the full, how does that pay? And the thinking is kind of a bit of a kibbutz-like thinking. Well, if everybody works hard enough and is excited enough, it will itself fill up, and it works pretty well. And obviously, it also is very different from, say, the U.S. system, where it's like a sink or a swim. This is what you get. You deal with it. If you do great, awesome. If you don't, then you crash and burn. So this is quite different here, and I think this is. I think it's very special. So I have to say, initially I was really overwhelmed by it, because you know I was a student and I was a postdoc. How many labs exactly have I built? Zero. Right. So it's very daunting. And you also know once it's built, that's what it is. You cannot come back 2 years later and say, by the way, I would like, you know.
Yeah, I
so
forgot.
so that was daunting, but you started by knowing that you will make mistake, and also by knowing that most of it's going to be right. Right, and there's a strategic planning, and so then we were thinking, okay, so what is it we want to do? And from that then dictates all the functionality of it, and it's a lab, so it needs to be functional. So for example, initially I had in mind, I actually don't want to have a single wall in this thing. I want to have it all open space. Then it turns out you cannot do that for considering of fire regulations and whatnot. Okay, then not, and so that's how you break it down. So this here is, since we do a lot of biochemical work, so each student or postdoc has a desk and a bench next to it. This is a big question of belief. Do you separate the desk from the benches? I personally have come up like this, and I like it when the bench, where we actually do the experiments, is looking at you, do something with me. So that was my thinking.